You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, it is finally the end of April. We have arrived at this time, and I must be honest, I kind of, I'm looking forward to May. Not because April was not great. It was actually overwhelmingly good. But it was a lot going on, as you all can tell, with a lot of my recent activities. And I'm just ready to early jumpstart the summer / transition into the summer, I guess. Spring has been an awakening, but it's been a lot. This weekend was super packed, but I'm really just thinking about my final week teaching this semester, this spring semester at Cheney. Monday, which you all know is the first of this week, is my last day teaching this semester. My students got their final projects. I've been on them like serious about making sure they turn in all their assignments, do what they need to do so they can, get these A's and B's and succeed. Pretty much I sent them an email, which some of y'all probably saw my IG on Facebook, but I was dead ass. I was like, this is it. This is your final, day. Finish strong. They got to send in their last final assignment, which is 30% of their entire grade, which they had to do the whole semester. And so it's showtime. It's no games to be played. So I'm looking forward to, giving them their final grades and, really being able to have, my Mondays for the rest of the semester until I start back teaching in the fall. So I'm looking forward to that. This week was a lot, as you can tell. These vocal pipes were going. It was raves, it was parties, it was a lot of events going on, so much. So where do I start? I'll start with the Alpha conference that kicked off. It was a fabulous time. Got to connect. This was the Eastern Regional conference, which was in Philly. We were at the Marriott Hotel and the Lowe's. And this was regional, so this is all the East Coast, alphas. And this was my first big alpha gathering by the national organization. So it was a great opportunity to connect. The great news is that the alphas will be back in Philadelphia next year for the general convention. So this is going to be a big deal. This is going to be, everyone is all over the world because we're international. We'll be in Philadelphia next year. It'll be thousands of us. There was I want to say close to roughly 3,000 alphas in Philly for the regional, but we're talking about thousands will be in Philadelphia next summer. So Philadelphia is just doing double. So the Eastern Region convention was cool. What was the big deal for me was that I got my pinning official pinning ceremony experience as a neo, which for those who don't know what that means, that's basically new members of the fraternity. So I am a neophyte, and there was a pinning ceremony, which was really cool. And I got this lovely, really nice gold pin with some studs on it, real fly. And it was about a couple of hundreds of us at the Marriott in this grand ballroom, just, getting recognized. And it was deep. It was dope. It was really dope. And it was a great opportunity to get some merch. So shout out to my friends who, made stop by, the Alpha vending store and got me some cute swag that I'm already wearing. So it was at the convention center space. And so it was dope. It was a lot of great people there. One of my favorite panels that I went on to check out was Benny Boom, who's this big director, music video director. He directed 50 Cent's videos. He directed some of Nelly's best hits. Dilemma with Kelly Rowland. He directed that video with Nelly and Kelly. He directed a lot of videos for a lot of major rappers. I'm just thinking he directed Goodies, 1-2 Step by Sierra. He's a big deal in the industry. He directed the film All Eyes on Me, which was a Tupac biography. He's won several big awards. He's won many BET Music Video Awards, but he's an alpha. And he is actually from West Philly, went to Temple. Like he is, Benny Boom is royalty in Philly, but also he's a notable alpha. So he came, spoke, and gave some wisdom about his career and some wisdom to, creatives that's in the fraternity. And it was such a good look and an experience. And we also threw a party, which a lot of you all saw that video footage on IG, the Row chapter, which is my chapter, because we're in Philadelphia, we're part of the host team. We threw the Saturday night big party, which was the Black and Ice party that was at the Marriott Ballroom. It was epic. Hundreds of people were there. We sold so many tickets, raised some good money to support the incredible work of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, the first Black Greek letter organization fraternity in America, in the world, actually. We're actually around the world. We're the first Black Greek letter fraternity in the world. 1906 is when everything started. And we've since been taking over the world. So it was a great party. Lots of love, lots of support. I had a cute little outfit on and, some strolling and some stepping and all that jazz. But it was a good party. It was really fun. And I had a weekend. I was in Alpha Land this entire weekend, in addition to a couple of surprises. So this weekend was a lot. First off, for Philly, we had the Penn Relays, we had Philly Black Pride, and then we had the Alpha Conference. And it was a lot going on. So we had all of this gathering happening, and it was big. It was big. So what was a big surprise, which a lot of you all were like, where did this come from? I found out like days before Saturday that I was receiving the Emerging Legend Award from Philadelphia Black Pride, which was a shocker to me because I haven't done anything Philly Black Pride related in like years. And I hadn't really thought about them since my days at G Philly when I was the LGBTQ editor of Philadelphia Magazine. So there was a big moment of like, wait, let me refresh this. Is this really like me? So that was pretty cool and nice. So Saturday night, I was among several other great honorees, including Ebony Icon Fierce, who's an incredible drag performer. They are like legendary. Andre DiCaro, my good friend, who also made history this week, as you all know. And so many other great, remarkable talent. And there were so many other legends at the ball. So that was super dope. And it was good to just go out and see people that I hadn't seen in years. Even some people that I really care for. But everything was cordial and civil. And, had a nice night. So that was pretty dope. This week I've been doing a lot. Like this past week, I'm, back on the scene. The Lip Brothers are like back in action. So we had a really great time at Stratus. Stratus Lounge was in Hotel Monaco. The rooftop is called Stratus. And it's become one of our favorite spots. I mean, our favorite all-time spot is Philadelphia Distilling, which of course has Beluco Gin. That's our all-time favorite spot. But this has become one that's definitely in the top 5. We love Assembly Rooftop, but we really love Stratus Lounge. But every time we go to Stratus Lounge, it's like an event. So our experience is probably not going to be a lot of people's experience. So that's why I'm like, Stratus is dope, because every time we go, it's like an event. Like it's a special situation there. It's not like just a regular night. So I don't know what a regular night Stratus looks like anymore. It's been years. But this event they had on Friday night was super dope. It was called Spring Awakening, but it was also called Cirque de Stratus, which was like Stratus had it was like a Cirque du Soleil situation with jugglers and dancers and people on poles and no stripping, but like everybody had their clothes on. But it was just like a bunch of interesting circus tricks and great food and crazy drinks. It was a night. It was a night for sure. Think about other things. Went to Steak 48 this week. Got to try some of the new menu items that's coming out that the public will try very, very soon. And it was on the same day as First Fam, which is, of course, my good old Judy, and also fellow Divine Nine fam, Alex Holly, who's an AKA. She had her birthday this week. And so this gathering at Steak 48 was like a tasting slash Alex Holly birthday party, which you all know her from Fox 29. She's the host of Good Day Philly. And it was a good party. It was really good. There was some new drinks, new food, lots of caviar. Steak 48 is doing more things with caviar. They've been doing things with caviar, but they're definitely kicking it up a notch. So that was good to see. I like Steak 48. I know a lot of people have had their chitter chatter about it, but Steak 48 is, in my opinion, one of the best steakhouses in Philadelphia. Like, bar none. I mean, Philly and steakhouses, they got a lot of places, but Steak 48 just has the elegance for me. It just has the grown, sexy energy that everybody wants to try to replicate. Like, there's places that have great steak, but they don't have the ambiance too. Like, when you walk in Steak 48, you're in a different world. You're in a different world. It's a different vibe. It's grown in there. It's a grown ass restaurant. Okay, it's nothing to play with over there. So I love it. I like Steak 48, and it's a great spot. I also had a great time at Rex at the Royal. Chef Angie Brown, who is renowned, basically took over Rex at the Royal, which is the old Rex 1516 on South Street. It's Rex at the Royal now. It's like Southern cuisine. Always a good time when I go there. I love that spot. But Chef Angie Brown, who is this renowned Black chef, she's a Black woman in the industry, killing it. She used to have a restaurant a couple years ago in Philly. Now she's solo. She's doing catering, dinner parties, all this great stuff. And she was on Food Network, I mean, a while back. She is like the girl. She's that girl in food. But she did a takeover of Rex the Royal last week. So I went to dinner, bumped into some friends, some family. I bumped into my barber and his wife and their lovely daughter, who's also an AKA. And that was cute. But anybody who knows my barber knows he's like very, he just can't help himself. He just is always going to be like a helicopter, just so, extra. But it was great catching up with him. And I saw other people that recognized me at the spot, so that was pretty cool. And I did on my LB. It was right after the pinning ceremony, so that was really dope. Because I was hungry, and with conventions, you can find yourself talking to a lot of people and not being able to really go out. And I always feel like convention me is like on, if you think I'm a lot, I'm on 10 at a convention because I'm working the room, I'm meeting people. But I realized I've been here and I like had a bite of something. I need to sit down and decompress. So I did. And that was the best place to do that at. So that was really great. And then also, before I get into these hot topics, because so much has been going on and we got to catch up, I will be on TEDx Dilworth. As you all know, I'm the MC, the master ceremonies for TEDx Dilworth Park, which this is going to be on Saturday, May 11th. Tickets are already sold out. They sold out fast. I mean, anything I'm in it's just going to sell. So a lot of the tickets are all sold out. Like, it's at capacity. So what we decided to do, which I think is a great idea that TEDx decided to do, is we're going to, this entire week and leading up, there's going to be all these great Instagram lives with the speakers and people that's going to be a part of it. That's going to be on IG Lives, free to the public, so everybody can come check it out. And it's going to be a good time. And I'm going to be on IG Live Monday, this Monday, April 29th. I'll be on at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on IG Live. So just connect with your laptop, whatever, your desktop, your phone, whatever you got, and check me out. And I'll be taking questions. I'll be in conversation with a great moderator, and they're going to be talking to me, about, the TEDx event, life, thoughts, all kind of fun stuff. So it's going to be a really good time. So I hope you all really show up and show out, show some love. And I can't wait to see you all. So it's going to be super dope. So stay tuned for that. But what's been going on? Trump is on trial, as you all been following. And it's been a hot mess. I'm not going to hold you. It's been a hot mess. following this shenanigan has been a lot. But some of the big things that have really come from this is that, the first week of the trial is done. I want to keep people up because there's a lot of things happening. This is the Stormy Daniels case. So this is the case where basically Trump is being accused of using hush money during his election in 2016 to pay an adult entertainer, right, Stormy Daniels, hush money to basically not speak on the affair that they had. Pretty much, Stormy Daniels have clearly blew the whistle and told the public that they had an illicit affair that was sexual. And pretty much the allegations is that Trump used hush money during his campaign to basically silence her from speaking to the press in fear of his election, his reputation being hit by all this. To be honest, the way that Trump is moving in this world, I don't even think that should have been the thing, the straw that broke the camel's back. After he had already made remarks about grabbing women by the vagina and other problematic things and several other, lawsuits and settlements and of that nature, I would think that could have been the least of his worries. However, he has found himself in this current trial. A lot of legal experts believe he will be found guilty. But as we all know, in Trump land, it's really hard to say what the case will be for him. And we'll get to more why I believe that in a minute. However, the trial is going on. The editor of the National Enquirer, which is a big, huge, multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar industry gossip tabloid that makes millions upon millions of dollars running salacious stories about famous people. Their publisher, or former publisher, was interviewed about, a lot of his knowing about everything that was going on. So there was a lot of cross-examination that took place last week. And so the case is happening. We're going to get a verdict before the November 5th election, which is big because the rest of the lawsuits, the insurrection trials, everything else is looking like we're not going to get a verdict. Maybe a trial will start, maybe, but all these delays and all these things we're waiting on is holding up some of this. Which brings me to my next big topic around Trump, is this issue around the Supreme Court. So there were oral arguments being heard surrounding this big summer hearing decision that we got to see the Supreme Court decide on, which is Trump has an argument that he has presidential immunity. And I say that as a quote unquote, that Trump has quote unquote presidential immunity, which he argues he has this. This is not something that is a fact, but his argument is that as the president of the United States, anything that he did under his presidency, he should not be criminally charged for or face any type of punishment for because of the fact that he is the president of the United States. And he argues that anything that he does as president on his purview, that to try to criminally charge him could open up the floodgates to any other president basically experiencing this by their rivals, that rivals of the president could abuse this privilege to try to take him out of leadership and power. I think this is bullshit. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor agrees, but there appears to be some conservatives on the bench that have some interesting arguments that don't make sense. Brett Kavanaugh and conservative Justice Samuel Alito are like asking these dodgy questions. It's interesting because Brett Kavanaugh specifically was talking about how this is a conventional, this is a consequential, case in American history, and it's, giving it all this weight and acting like, these implications that could happen. But this is the same man who was a part of the legal prosecution of former President Bill Clinton during his big, huge impeachment scandal. And so it's interesting that there was no smoke from Kavanaugh, even though he was not a Supreme Court justice, but there was no confusion back then when Kenneth Starr was doing his big old report trying to impeach a president. But now all of a sudden there's a new conversation being had about criminal behavior when this wasn't, given the same deference when Clinton was in office. So it's interesting that Kavanaugh is going that direction. But Samuel Alito is trying to do this weird argument about, oh, well, what about other presidents? And being very hypothetical. But here's the thing. There's been no US president that has done what Trump is being accused of doing, right? There's no US president that has ever taken it too far. Nixon resigned, right, and got pardoned, right, by his Democratic predecessor because he was a Republican. But the Democrat who took the seat right after him, Gerald Ford, basically pardoned, Nixon. And there is debates on whether that should have happened. But at the end of the day, we want a peaceful transition is what Americans seem to want. So Nixon left, Ford pardoned him, and then we moved on. It's interesting that, Trump isn't, that everyone's trying to forget history and how this works. No US president has ever sat in office and have done the level of alleged legal maneuvering and internal conflict and allegations of sparking what arguably is the closest thing we've had to a civil war since the Civil War itself. This has never taken place and has ever happened in the many years. Okay, this man is the 45th president. We've had 44 before him, and not none of them 44 over the 200 something years of the Republic have some shit like this went down. So I just don't understand what precedent that Justice Alito is trying to stand on right now and trying to make this argument. I just think that this is what people mean when we should have reevaluated what the Citizens United, all that was about. Because this whole Justice Supreme Court, I'm at a point where I might say it. I'm going to say it. Expand the courts. Because this shit, it ain't working. We need to expand the courts. I think I might be 100% down with expanding the courts. And I'm not saying this because right now I'm salty that Republicans have the majority, but I just do feel like this little 9 situation, this little 4 to 5, I don't know. It's not hitting for me personally. I'm not feeling it. Just keep it at 100. So then we move on because one of the interesting things that have come out of everything this past week is that a poll came out that showed that over 50% of men in a survey believe that Trump was either, a conversation about Trump and women. And most men, and I'm going to say white men because I don't know, what argument could be used around this, but there is a poll that a majority of men have argued that Trump respects women. And that's what most men are saying. A majority of men, 54% said that Trump respects women either a lot or some. And 31% of women saw things that way as well. Just 31%. So to be real, 69% of women do not think Trump respects women. Trump respects women. All I'm going to say is I keep telling people, pay attention to how women are going to vote in this election. And white men, that's all I'm going to say. I don't believe a majority of black men believes that Trump respects women. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think a majority of white men do. And I think men altogether, just embarrassing, right? 54% total. But I bet you white men was skewing that data heavy. Because the real answer is Trump don't respect anybody outside of himself. Like Trump doesn't respect other white men. I just don't understand why Trump don't respect LGBTQI people. Trump does not respect disabled people. Trump does not respect Muslim people. Trump don't respect Christians. Trump don't respect Jewish people. Like, I'm just trying to figure out who Trump respects but himself. He don't respect himself. He is going to court cases farting and acting like a tyrant or a child, actually. So I don't even know how who does Trump respect? That's the better question. But, moving along. So the White House Correspondents' Dinner took place this past Saturday in D.C. A lot of you all always ask me, why am I not there? I'm not there because I'm not invited. The D.C., let me tell you, the D.C. Black political elite, they don't really care much for me. A couple of them like me. I do have a couple of people I like, but a lot of them don't like the girl, don't like the doll. They And I don't, there was a time where I used to do the whole, why? I don't know what's going on. Nah, I just don't really give a fuck. It's just at this point in my career, and I just think in a lot of people's careers, right? You recognize what's for you and what's not for you, and you move accordingly. It doesn't mean that you can't go out and do what you want to do, right? Let's be clear. But it's not the same cultural people get so caught up in appearances and things, and we all are to a certain extent. We need to be reading the room, but you also just know what is the right room for you. And there was a good quote that someone said. They were speaking about faith, but they were just saying that sometimes people have wanted to sit at tables that they were actually sent to flip. And that stands out to me because I do believe that. Like, you might be put in a position to go somewhere and transform something, to flip something. It may not be, some people want to go at tables and sit at tables that they're supposed to go there to flip and don't understand the assignment. You were supposed to go there to shake shit up. You wasn't supposed to go there and become the people. Message. But people don't recognize that calling. They get caught up in other things and get distracted. And so I've always been someone that have really been invested in, like, okay, if I'm going to be somewhere, I want to make a difference, and it needs to be purpose. And I feel like a lot of the DC cats, in media over there, in political spaces, they're a little catty, fake, and not my cup of tea. Some of them, a lot of them are. I'm not going to name names. There are some real ones there, but there are a lot of them who are just there for the ride. They're going to grift their way through. They're going to just, they're going to fight for the scarcity. They're going to be crabs in the barrel. They're going to only want to be the only ones for 1 year, another year, another year. I don't know how that works. Everywhere I go, I bring someone in the fold. But everybody's different. And this dinner was a lot. But somebody was watching somewhere in their house. Rather than working on their campaign or focusing on doing other things, they were too busy spending a lot of time and energy watching themselves get roasted by the current president of the United States. So Joe Biden roasted the hell out of Trump, had a good time roasting him. I mean, went into how Trump is struggling to sell his campaign struggling. He said he's going against a 6-year-old for president. He was talking about how Trump sold the Bible and probably picked up a book to read it, for morals or whatever. And then when we got into the first chapter and read that there should be no God higher than him, he said, oh, this wasn't going to work, and closed it. A read. He was just going in. He had a field day with Trump and Trump's stormy problems. Let's just say how he described it. But Biden had a good old field day going at Trump. And then, of course, there was that SNL host over there that, had a good time dragging him as well. And Trump did not like the gags. He pans the White House correspondents' dinner, talking about Colin Jost, who is an SNL act, but he's also married to Scarlett Johansson, fun fact. Basically said on his Truth Social, because he can't be on Twitter, Trump said the White House correspondents' dinner was really bad, he wrote. Colin Jost bombed, and Crooked Joe was an absolute disaster. Doesn't get much worse than this. It makes me laugh because he called everybody crooked. It was Crooked Hillary. Now he doesn't go after Hillary anymore. He's over Hillary. He wants to move on from Hillary. I never forget his name. His nicknames are just trash. What was it? Lion Ted Cruz, Lil Marco. He just be having names for everybody but himself. I just don't understand. Because at this point, how you calling him Crooked drove Biden in the Democrats and the lying Democrats or something? He always be like Crooked Joe Biden and the something Democrats, but he be having names and they stick. I must say, he's a bully. He's an old-fashioned bully because he's going to drag and he's going to remember. You're going to remember taglines and punchlines, and he's going to always find a way to just drag. Just silly, just a silly man, but a dangerous man. Okay. So you can laugh all day, hee ha ha ha, but don't listen. That's a dangerous man, and he needs to be stopped. And that is going to require you white people who listen to this show, stop telling me how you're worried about the election. Reminder: don't tell a black person that you're scared. I don't give a fuck. I'm already doing my part. I'm going to continue to do my part. I need you to do your part. Stop telling me about the races you know. And let me tell you that's the thing for me. I don't. I got to think more about how I'm going to flesh this out. I need to write about it. I don't know what white people get, what sensation they get by telling Black people about the racist people they know. I don't know why they think it's like some sense of connectivity. It's not. I don't care. Don't tell me about the racist family member. Don't. Unless they're dead. Unless they've deceased and they, got hit by a truck and they're no longer here. I still wouldn't care. But if you was like, oh, they're dead now. Oh, okay, cool. But if they're alive and well and they're racist and you're telling me about it, I just don't know what the answer is. If the answer is not hands or cancellation, like what are you doing? Like, just not talking to them anymore is just not enough for me. Like, what are you doing to get them no longer impacting people? Like, if you know a racist teacher in your school and you're a teacher at a school, you know a racist teacher. If you are in an industry, a restaurant industry, and you know racist in the restaurant food industry that's being outright racist, and you're not speaking up, reporting it, calling it out as a white person, damn it, I don't know. Because don't ask what Black people are doing. We have always stood up and spoken out about a lot of crazy things, for the most part, outside our community. We could do a lot in our community, but don't worry about us. Worry about what y'all got going on, because y'all ain't doing me neither, okay? There is a lot of things that get slipped in these communities, and I'm seeing it where white people specifically come to me and they tell me these stories about some racist person and this, and I'm like, or they'll tell me about it and want me to speak out about it. I'm confused. Why are you not using your privilege as a white person? Do you know how exhausting and how toxic it is oftentimes as a Black queer millennial to have to be inundated with a lot of information about racists and homophobes and shit like that? And I'm hearing about able-bodied white people who have all these resources, privileged connections that want to use me or other people to fight their battles, because they want to keep the comfort of being able to be, by themselves and still pretend and be fake with these people, but then use Black folks like myself to do the work. Oh no, no. That's what we're not going to do. Take some initiative. Step up. Do that. Step up, Chad. We want to see you out there. Come on, Becky. Do that work. Because I don't understand what I'm supposed to do beyond what I'm doing enough. Like, I'm trying to live. I'm trying to survive. I'm doing what I can with my platform. But it's interesting that I see this situation time and time again of white people telling us about racists that they continue to let exist in the world. I mean, look, I appreciate communities that want to fight against anti-Semitism, legitimate anti-Semitism. They don't, communities that don't play against that kind of hate. I just want everybody to fight against hate equally. I want the same energy against racism. I want the same energy against sexual harassment and misconduct and abuse for people. I want everybody to fight against all the hate and all the violence that is plaguing us. And people like myself, we get exhausted doing it, but we know we have to, because if we don't do it, it's our survival we're fighting for. But for privileged folks who got the luxury, and I'm talking about racism, because there's too much of that. All this, Trump said this, Trump did this, Trump did that. Okay, but your cousin that you're still like saying, that's their thoughts. We agree, disagree. Also, you're agreeing to disagree about racism. Interesting. And then you wonder why it proliferates. And then you want to cry and feel guilty when you watch The Help. Fuck out of here. Like, the older I get, the more I'm beginning to understand how some of my ancestors have felt. And I'm starting to understand why older Black people are very just to some of the shit. And I haven't gotten there because I'm a little bit more optimistic. But I will tell you that I can understand why certain Black people, especially older Black people's optimism fade when it comes to these kind of this discourse, because it gets played out. Like, I'm 32. Like, I'm thinking to myself, when I'm about 64, I'm not having the same conversation. And it's upsetting that a lot of people that I know that are twice my age or older, are probably like saying, I'm not having these conversations because they already had those conversations. And white people pretend like they don't know is a lie. And I think more uncomfortable conversations need to be had about that with white people. Like, stop lying about not knowing what to do. You just don't want to do it. You want someone else to do it. And we need to interrogate that because you're not serious. And there's something you're serious about, whatever that thing is. But whatever you're serious about in that same way, what could it be? Animal welfare, the environment, give the same fucks in this department, or don't talk about it. Or just shut up, or just don't even pretend. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the people who perform these things out loud that feel like they have to vocalize to a black person how they feel about racism. I mean, unless hands are being thrown, unless you are reporting someone like a Karen, and I'm talking about reporting a white person like a Karen, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I don't. And I know a lot of other black people who don't, unless they're getting paid to. Maybe if I'm getting paid as a consultant, or I'm writing a piece, or I'm advising on something where, I'm being able to, afford my livelihood from it, sure. But outside of that, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good on that. So that's my thoughts. So Harvey Weinstein trial got overturned, as you all know. It's a big shocker, a disappointment. It's disappointing, right? Survivors out there see stuff like this, and they're reminded why the legal system is just as fucked up as it continues to be. However, this is a moment, though. This is a moment of, people can reflect and take the time they need to process it. But this is what I mean by a rich white man, powerful rich white man. They're not our friends. They're not our friends unless they're somewhere just hidden somewhere, dropping money and shutting up. But that's like, not many of them are doing that, unfortunately and clearly. So I tell people, listen, when you allow a racist to flock amongst us, the racist is not just a racist, he's a bigot, he will be a sexist, he'll be a lot of things. I don't doubt for 5 seconds that the same people that is out here, white men like that with that kind of power, that's out here being a predator to women, are not being also a lot of other things. There's, when you think about Trump, who's been accused a lot of things, he's also a known racist. He's also have been basically accused and been, pushed on acts of sexual assault to women, right? Like, there's a lot of things going on. And I don't think, this man admitted to assaulting women. He literally said he will grab them by the pussy. There's no conversation about consent or anything like that. So, let's be for real. But this man is also a racist and a xenophobe, and has also said all of those things and done problematic things. So all of this is connected. So it's not why I don't get. It's just that this mentality of, I'm going to tolerate one thing versus another thing is just very interesting. And racism allows people to support things that even go against their own interests. Like Trump has been reported to have admired or have given, Adolf Hitler, some level of praise for some of his thinking and things. And it's like, are you serious? But this is also the same man that there are white Jewish individuals who are, praising Trump and acting like Trump is going to be the answer to how they feel about what's going on in Israel. But this man also is up here ass kissing and praising the likes of Hitler. I'm just trying to understand how, people can ridicule, rightfully so, Kanye West, right, for any references to the Jewish community that's very offensive, anti-Semitic, but people can't see the problematic history that anti-Semitism has had within Trump forever. There's been several off-color offensive remarks he's made, and he has acknowledged and have aligned himself with neo-Nazis and white supremacists. But somehow white Jewish people have seemed to be, some of them, not all, but some of them have seemed to be, okay with Trump when it comes to the idea that he's pro-Israel, that all of a sudden that goes out the window. Like, this is the shit that is why we're in the predicament that we're in. I'm just saying that there is a lot of fucking contradictions and hypocrisy when it comes to various communities on who they choose to indict and convict in the court of public opinion. And for Black people like myself, who's watching all this shit unfold, all I'm doing is looking at this shit. I used to be heated, but my book talked about this. The Case for Council Culture talked about the double standards is given to people in certain situations, and the lack of grace, or the over, giving of grace to certain folks. Like, who gets it, who doesn't, and why? Well, in these situations, we're reminded of that. So Bill Cosby, as we know, or as he's known in some cases as Pill Cosby, had his case overturned over some technicalities within the court system. The same has now happened to Harvey Weinstein. Let me explain what happened here, because I've taken the time to read through and do my work. But this is very simple yet disappointing and hurtful. So basically, there were a lot of witnesses, that was called to testify during the case. And his criminal case was not a case that was connected to his assault on all these other survivors that accused him. It was specific cases by specific survivors about their incidents. However, during the trial, there was an appearance, based on what the courts are arguing, that in his attorney, his legal team, that there were several people called to the stand to testify. And there were several women who shared stories and incidents with Harvey Weinstein where they accused him of sexual assault. The problem with that, right, and this is not me saying the problem, I'm talking about the legal team in the court, right? The problem with that is that he was not being convicted or indicted for several of those incidents that took place. So it felt like the court and the jury that Mr. Weinstein was not given a fair trial, because it was that the witnesses that came there and shared those experiences, they made these allegations, they shared this information, but they were not actually tried, right? He wasn't tried for those allegations. There could have been statute of limitations, there could have been other things, but for them to be there, that their incidents, arguably, basically, it almost feels like a double jeopardy, right? That he's being tried for two separate crimes while only one particular incident is being held into account. So I'm going to give you a good example. I'm going to give you an example of this, right? Let's say that, let's say O.J. Simpson, right, who's now dead, was, he was on trial for killing Nicole Brown. Let's say that, the team, the prosecutor, brought out 3 other witnesses that accused 3 people who accused O.J. Simpson of killing one of their family members. Mind you, none of those family members ever reported the crime or any of those things. Mind you, that is technically irrelevant to the specific killing of Nicole Brown and the other guy, right? That could have persuaded the jury. Potentially. They would have said, wait a minute, there's other people accusing OJ of murder? Even though those people who are testifying never reported the crime. But those allegations can persuade the jury and make them look at him as well, damn. And so in this particular situation with Harvey Weinstein, other survivors came up and shared their experiences. And so it appeared to be, I'm speaking frankly, but it looked like a dog pile of allegations, many of which were not substantiated or tried in that particular case, but was given the free range to persuade the jury that Harvey Weinstein was a monster. He is a monster. I believe those survivors. But if you're talking the practice of the law and fairness, that should have not happened. And let me say this. Here's what I believe, personally. I believe that those additional witnesses and people who shared their stories, if they would have not shared those stories and testified, and it was just a case, right, a trial, where it was just the case of just the witnesses connected to the particular incident that was being put down on trial. If it was just that case alone, with the evidence and relevant evidence and witnesses, I believe the jury would have still found him guilty. This is why lawyers, right, have to not be overzealous. Lawyers have to not be doing the most, because a lot of times trying to make a case can sometimes backfire, and it can appear that you have an agenda and there's bias, and you can get a case like this overturned. Sometimes doing the most can lead to the least. And in this situation, this is devastating for any of these survivors because of the fact that you had an overzealous attorney that did more than just stick to the case. Good lawyers, okay, great lawyers, right, that are expertise, will focus on the issue at hand and defend it with the information at hand, and don't do too much. When you get these sensational lawyers that want to do all kind of shows, want to do the razzle dazzle, as they say in one of my favorite musicals, Chicago, and want to do all of the extra theatrics, you play that game and you get to a point where you can go so out of the case of the scope that then you could put your entire reputation or the case in legal jeopardy. And that's what happened here. This attorney who defended the survivor just brought in too many people and did too much when they didn't have to, I don't believe. I don't believe they had to. And as a result, because of that, that technicality alone gave Harvey Weinstein the ability to overturn that case. So now we have to figure out if the attorney, the district attorney, DA, whatever, in Manhattan, which I believe is Alvin Bragg, if they're going to overturn, if they're going to retry Weinstein. Weinstein's been hospitalized already right after. I mean, I'm not sad about that. But anywho, he is currently being, I want to say, admitted to a hospital. He's been hospitalized since that overturn. There's a conversation on whether he'll be retried. Apparently, he is really not doing well. I wonder if justice will be served in a different way. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm going to move on. So in Philadelphia, a lot has been going on with the School Board of Philadelphia. The School Board of Philadelphia stays in the news. The School Board of Philadelphia cannot help itself but to stay in the news. And a lot has been going on, for better or for worse. I just want people to know, you got to be mindful about how elections play, what happens, how stuff goes down, and what shapes opinions and perspectives. So in Philly, we have a school board. There's a school board battle on Monday. As you all listening to this podcast, when you all get in the car, listen, there'll be a hearing that's going to be taking place, mostly with Joyce Wilkerson, who is the last appointee standing. So as you all know from my podcast last week, that there were several major things that took place with the school board hearings. Basically, there was allegations that Council President Kenyatta Johnson's wife, Dawn Chavot, was pretty pivotal, allegedly, in persuading members of City Council to talk a lot about charter schools. And the hearing that took place with Streeter, Reginald Streeter, who was the school board chairman, when he was fighting pretty much to keep that slate of 9 appointed city of school board members. City Council on Thursday, this past Thursday, approved or voted in favor of 8 of the 9, still leaving out Joyce Wilkerson, who many thought that was it, that City Council was going to have to go to the committee, and committee was going to have to find a new person, because they have till May 1st to get this school board appointed. And May 1st is next. Well, not next. It's this Wednesday. May 1st is this week. Cinco de Mayo is this upcoming weekend. Where did the time go, y'all? Anyway, May 1st, they got to get this done. So it looks like you thought that was it. Well, 11 o'clock hour this weekend, news broke that Joyce Wilkerson will be having her hearing on Monday, which signals that Sherelle Parker was not playing that, because Sherelle did not bend. Sherelle is a woman of conviction. She is steadfast, and she's been steadfast, that the 9 people that she is recommending to be on the school board, they will make it through. And I don't know why City Council thought, because let me tell you why this is a big deal. I was on City Council Live, which is on 96.1 FM, 900 AM, Progressive Black Talk Media, WRD Radio, Philadelphia City Council Live, with your host, Ernest. So I do that every Thursday, of course, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I saw it happen, and I saw them skip Wilkerson. And this is the first major time we've seen City Council buck against the Park administration. It was a honeymoon phase. Everything was looking positive and great. Now it looks like there's going to be some clashing. Well, right after that happened, the Park administration sent me a memo immediately to let listeners know that they stand, that Mayor Parker stands on business. She is 10 toes down for her 9 appointees and supports the entire slate, including Wilkerson, and that she says that she affirms it. So even though City Council thought they were going to have this little moment and do a big one, the big one is now a little one. I do predict that Wilkerson will make it. She will get approved. She will be a part of the school board. But what a disaster. I mean, a lot of pressure from activist groups, the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers, PFT. They've come out strong. The Democratic Socialists of America, all these different progressive groups, everyone is demanding that Joyce Wilkerson gets on that school board. There is a lot of political organizing. This is a Black woman who is basically being pushed aside because of some politics around charters. And everyone sees what's happening over here. And the person who I'm the most concerned about, who's going to get thrown under the bus, is going to be Isaiah Thomas, who's the city council member at large. He played a dirty game as majority whip because he's supposed to whip the votes, and he's been running around acting like he's the reason why Wilkerson's not getting on that school board. And I'm like, you got to chill down. You got to chill out, man, because the press is watching. He thinks he's doing a big favor for his little friend, Kenyatta Johnson, President Johnson, over there. But people are seeing what's going on. It does not look good. It doesn't look good. It looks like, Don Chavot, who's been a big old charters, proponent, that I've been hearing things in the streets. There's 27 Black charters. I'm hearing that this Black charter council or coalition, this Black Charters Coalition in Philly, the Philadelphia Black Charters Coalition, is really only advocating for 3 charters. That the other Black charters that she's claiming she's advocating on behalf, they don't really see her as representing them. Looks like there's only 3 of them. And pretty much the argument that they're trying to shake council to commit to is basically what they want the school board to do is just leave the charters alone, let them do what they want over Philadelphia's dead body. And also, to be quite frank, you want the school board to do this. Interesting. But what's also very telling and also very weird is that you want the school board, you want the school board to do this, but this is an argument about expansion. Okay, they want there's certain charter schools that owe the city, the school district, millions of dollars because of the fact that they were over-enrolling students, and they should not have been doing. And now they want, there's certain people who want to expand and get other charter schools, even though they have not taken care of the business they have in their own backyard. The tea is hot. And so it's a lot of politics that is happening right now. And I think Mayor Parker is right. And I think the community wants this school board. And so, yeah, City Council is going to have to take that L. And I think that Isaiah Thomas is going to take the biggest one because he got out in front of this in a way that just didn't look good. He wants to shift the conversation to focusing on, facilities, this and that. I'm sorry, you're not fooling a goddamn person when you gave your little speech. And I saw Jay Young at City Council looking at his phone and notes. If you go and look at the hearing, which I did, You can tell they were reading fucking questions. They were scrolling on their phone, reading the script. They're so dumb and so unprepared. And it's obvious they were reading off a fucking script. I was looking at Nicholas O'Rourke like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, PFT runs you. How are you over here talking about black charters like you give a fuck? You do not. Some of those questions, come on. Come on. Come on. That's all I got to say. Come on. You can sell that bullshit to somebody else. But I saw what I saw, and I heard what I heard, and my ears do not fool me. If you're going to look bought, if you're going to sound bought, could you at least make it look a little better? Can you at least come in knowing what the hell you're talking about so that you wouldn't be out here looking like a mess in front of the streeter? It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to watch. It's embarrassing. And I think Wilkerson will get through. So, moving along. The Pennsylvania Democratic primary had a lot of shockers. Of course, as always, I'm the guy who tells you about them. And so shout out to all of my readers who read a lot of my coverage this week for Philadelphia Magazine on everything that's been happening lately. There's been winners, there's been losers, and I want to talk about some of that. But before I do, I want to talk about a particular moment, a controversial moment that took place when I was co-hosting, as I always do on Laborers District Live, sponsors the Power Hour, the election coverage from WRD. I was on the show with Tanya Pendleton, who I co-hosted the inauguration with back in January. Well, the dynamic duo of us, did the election primary day special for WRD Radio this past Tuesday. Yes, the girl was booked and bothered. She was getting checks, unbothered. But I was working. This week was a busy week on so many fronts. But one of the big things that we had talked about was involving everything that went down with the primaries. But then we was interviewing candidates, right? But then somebody else appeared, and that was Sheriff Rochelle Bilal. Yes, Rochelle Bilal, who's been criticized in the media lately. She just won't stop getting criticized about the way she's run that office. And I gotta say, it was an interview that I did not see coming. She wants to defend her reputation. She doesn't like the way the press has been criticizing her on so many fronts. You know, I broke a story last week about her situation regarding, it was her situation regarding a lot of conversations around. There was an FBI look into her. And what I mean by that is that the FBI, which I reported for Philadelphia Magazine, this story came out last year, around this time actually. But the issue that happened is there's a lot of things going on. But the big thing that happened that came out is that the FBI allegedly, there were former employees, current employees, and former employees who spoke on record and told me that the FBI had asked them questions about the way business was being managed and done in the sheriff's office under Rochelle Bilal's leadership. Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. And it's very telling. It's very telling what's happening. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. A lot of people have had concerns about the way that office has been ran. There's been a lot of concerns about the way the money has been spent. And, you know, it's been hard. So one of the things I want to speak on specifically is that there were hundreds of checks written by Sheriff Rochelle Bilal's office that appears to violate the Home Rule Charter. This is according to records that the Philadelphia Inquirer reported on. No one in Philadelphia City Hall wants to talk about it, but it includes ammunition, DJs, a $9,000 mascot, and city council just seems to continue to praise her. It's been a lot of interesting conversations. And, there was a recent op-ed that came out where Bilal said she has been working to improve the office's accounting practices with an eye toward transparency. Basically, she said that the accounting practices the office now uses conform to city finance requirements, but the park administration is reportedly declined to confirm that detail. There was another thought being raised that when there was questions about the funds at Wednesday's budget hearing, Sheriff Rochelle Bilal's undersheriff, this happened at the budget hearing previously last week, Tariq El-Shabazz told City Council that the state has authorized the sheriff to use the fees to supplement in operations such as purchasing bulletproof vests due to underfunding. However, City Controller Christy Brady says that characterization was not correct. She said that the charter requires that spending by all city offices and departments, including the sheriff's office, be specifically authorized by appropriations in the city's annual operating budget ordinance, is what she told the Inquirer. A spokesperson for Josh Shapiro's administration said it was unaware of any special authorization granted to the sheriff for these funds. So it appears that Rochelle Bilal is lying. For whatever reasons, she decided she wanted to speak to me during this interview on WRD Radio. And interesting enough, Council President Kenyatta Johnson gave her praise. Said, "I just want to thank you for your hard work and your dedication and working in partnership with the members of council in the city of Philadelphia." Disgusting, in my opinion. But, takes one to know one, right? So I am going to let you hear the second half, this little part of the interview that I did with her. You can listen to the whole interview on WRD, Laborers Live Election Day Special. The end of the first hour and the first half of the second hour. This is on their SoundCloud if you want to hear the whole interviews that happened. But I'm going to play this part of the interview where things got really hot between myself and Bilal in the second part of this interview. And I'm going to let you all hear for yourself before we get into the rest of this show.
Word Radio on Demand, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, streaming live at wordradio.com.
And we are back with the Laborers Live Election Day special, reminding folks to get out and vote today, primary day in the great state of Pennsylvania. And we are here at an undisclosed location with my co-host, Ernest Owens, and Sheriff Rochelle Bilal. And Ernest, you were finishing up some questions for Sheriff Bilal.
Yeah, quickly. So there are, I'll oversee a nonprofit, and the level of regulations that are asked for us to get grant money from the city is, at a very higher level. Like, there's so much scrutiny, there's so much follow-up. We got to do reports. We got to vet people. There's got to be conflict interest signatures and things on RFPs. That is missing here at the sheriff's office.
That's not true.
Actually, it's been reported.
It could be. Let me just say
hold on, let me say this real
Ernest.
quick. There's no regulation.
When you say that things are reported, people can say and make allegations, but don't necessarily mean that that's true. Like, you constantly inquire and their allegation as to what is and what isn't.
They haven't retracted anything.
They will be doing certain things.
Okay.
And I think the one major thing that needs to be dealt with is the fact that you're constantly saying that I'm under FBI investigation, which is not true. First of all, you can't confirm that with the FBI. Just because some disgruntled employees say they had a conversation with the FBI doesn't make it factual, doesn't make it true. Anybody can allegate, like they can allegate against you.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's true.
Well,
and for you to, would you consider yourself to be a journalist?
I am a journalist.
And you continue to put out your opinion as to what everybody else says in reference to me, in reference to FBI investigation.
Well, do you want me?
I'm here to tell you emphatically, I am not under no FBI investigation. And though you talk to disgruntled employees about that, That is untrue and it's unfair.
Okay.
If you want to ask me, ask me.
I will. I actually did ask your office. I actually asked you. I asked your staffer.
You
did not give it. You didn't give us. I asked you, and you didn't give a statement.
Because
you chose not to give a statement. You could have given a statement.
What
That's
did
what
I need
journalists
to give
do.
a statement for? Because
to defend your innocence.
All you do, anytime I say something, because I did this with the Inquirer when I first got in. I tell you the truth.
I'm not the Inquirer.
I tell you the truth, and when I tell you the truth, try to twist it to support your agenda or your narrative.
Okay, so are you attacking the free press, or are you attacking a specific individual? Because I'm not the Inquirer. And let me back up real quick, because I'm going to defend my work. You get a chance to defend your office the best way that you think you can, but I'm going to defend my work and what I do.
I think I can.
I mean, that's the best way that you can.
Well, Sheriff Bilal, you've said that you are not under, or your office is not under FBI investigation.
She can't confirm that. She can't confirm that.
But neither can he.
No, and that's the point I'm making. Let me explain. What I have said is that there's a probe. Do we know the difference between an investigation and a probe? A probe means that to be clear, a probe means that if there is FBI individuals questioning people, not just disgruntled ex-employees, but current employees. I've spoken to over a dozen people who have either worked in your office formerly or currently in your office that have said that the FBI has contacted them regarding activities in your office that has been scrutinized in the press and has been discussed for over a year. So let me be clear. I don't pull things out of me. I don't make things up. I don't have an agenda. I'm actually doing my job as a journalist to make sure that you're held accountable as an elected official. And I do that with every elected official, not just
I hold myself accountable as an elected official. And when you have disgruntled employees,
okay,
trust me, these same disgruntled employees have been contacting the attorney general, the FBI.
Okay, so they have been doing that.
No.
But before you, I know with Jewel and them, I know.
Jewel and everybody.
And Gray, I know that.
And basically, it's been baseless, because if they can't use you for what they want to use you for, and you say, no, this is the new policy, so you don't get to play these games anymore because I'm basically by the book, now you mad. So you go out and you say whatever you say. I stand on principle, and I didn't just pop in this city as to what I do. I stand on who I am as an individual. My character is intact. I'm doing the job of the sheriff office, and I'm doing it by the book. The policies and the new policies that we implemented are there to make sure that whatever happened in the past doesn't happen. Only been there 4 years.
Let me ask you, because I know that this is of concern to the community, in terms of the sheriff's cells now starting up again, one of the things that you said, obviously, is that oftentimes sheriff's cells are for people who can't pay for various things. They've fallen behind in taxes or whatever the case may be. But are not sheriff's cells also sometimes helpful in reducing blight in the community and reducing as you said, not everyone knows what the sheriff's office does. Is that part of it as well, that there are people who are owning properties that have just been stagnant? They owe taxes, they owe various things. And now that the sales are returning, that may be able to help some communities as well?
We are the arm of the courts. Mm-hmm. So we don't get to put properties up for sale.
Okay.
That's a court order. That has a process that it goes through.
Okay.
When we get the court order, we do our job. But what we want people to know is that you can go on phillysheriff.com, and everything that we've done in that office, the new policies, the booklet that gives people information on how they can save their homes, go to phillysheriff.com. It's there. We are basically an open book. We don't respond to certain people who want to twist the narrative to fit their agenda, but we put their questions in its entirety on phillysheriff.com sheriff page, and we put our answers in entirety, because when you interview with people, they never put everything that you say.
Right.
When there's an op-ed, they have unlimited ink. We only got 500 characters or less to respond in an op-ed. And so we put all ours on the phillysheriff.com website. You can go on it. You can go there and get all the information from when I started office up until now. But you take this note, and as I wrap up, because I see we got to wrap up.
Yes.
Just note that the media that we're talking about, the Inquirer, Daily News, and that network that they deal with, has never put one thing good about what the sheriff office does. We sent them all the press release. We sent them our 1 year what we did. We sent them our 3 year what we did. We get ready to send them our term report. Never put one thing about what the sheriff office does. And that's interesting. Because if you want to be fair, you show the good work, the uptake, the updates in the office, but you don't show nothing And so that tells me what their agenda is.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Bilal, for being here. And
Yeah, that was the interview. And it was, as you can see, intense. Um, we're going to follow this. Stay tuned and just see how that plays out. I just wanted to set the parameters that election day was intense after that, because I was just kind of like, wow, this is really happening. Like, she's really about to pull this type of stunt. Like, it's very Trumpian. It's the very you know, oh, the media's lying and they're spinning my story and da da da. And it's like, this is what accountability journalism looks like. This is what it means to hold elected officials accountable. You have millions of dollars in your purview and you're spinning it like it's a fucking slush fund. Like, you're just doing whatever you want to do. And there's no regulations and there's no actual oversight. And every source, from the city controller's office to the mayor's office to city council, it's just interesting that there's been just like crickets or whatever. And it's like, how is this continuing? Like, nobody wants to touch it politically. And the reason why is because of the fact that I arguably think that she's a black woman in this position. And there has been elected officials who told me that, if they go after her, they're scared about how the optics are going to look and how the narrative is going to be. And it's like, this is why we can't get shit done in this city. Because a lot of times people will weaponize and abuse identity politics to justify the problematic shit that they're doing. So that's why Wilson Goode got reelected after dropping a bomb during MOVE, authorizing a bomb that killed like innocent children, but he got reelected. So I guess that's the standard in this city when it comes to fuckery in politics. That if the person who could the black man who can authorize a bomb to be dropped in a black community and innocent children die, right? That if they could get reelected to office, then anything anyone else do, if that's the standard that we've started it at, if that's how low the bar is, that anyone doing anything else, how dare they be held to a higher standard? That's where we are in Philadelphia when it comes to political accountability. The only way people get taken out in this city is by the feds. The voters are weakened in many ways in the city, and when it comes to local politics, voters are oftentimes, yeah. But voter turnout is, it's the party machine. Oftentimes, every blue moon there's an interesting race, but for the most part, they do a good job suppressing the vote to keep certain politicians in power, to keep the money flow the way it is. And then when we have these big national races, then there's this drive, which do work, right, to get voter turnout high. But throughout any other races, the Democratic machine benefits from suppression, right? Because voters don't have a reason, they don't feel like they have a reason to go to polls to vote in these elections. But then the problem is that when it is time to go, that's why Democrats bite their nails, because they're like, oh shit, we got to get these people to actually show up for these races because we got to get these people elected. So it's a very hopscotch situation. And it's so institutional. It's so systematic. And I could talk all day about how the system in this way benefits. And there's plenty of articles and books written about it, and goddamn it, go Google shit. Like, it's a lot to be said about it, but it's a lot. And there's a lot of conversation that need to happen, and people need to step up and identify it. If you're a committee person, you're a ward leader, take some action. Because it really starts with that, right? Are people who are a part of that process, from the wards to the ward leader system to the committee person spaces. What conversations are happening on those grounds? I know there's some uprisings happening with committees across the city. People are joining. People are getting more active. People are calling out shit they're seeing. But it's got to take more energy. We got to be more civic. We got to be more civic, people. So to these winners and losers, the big winner, obviously, across the board was the Democratic Party endorsed candidates in almost every race this cycle, except one particular race, which I want to get to. Democrats won. If you was endorsed by, if you was in, let me back up. If you was endorsed by the Democratic Party, okay, because we're talking about primaries. Not everybody gets a Democratic Party endorsement, but those who did pretty well. Black queer candidates, did well. Candidates, that's plural. Andre D. Carroll, who's a good friend of mine. He's also the 33-year-old Germantown native, became the second openly queer Black candidate to win a seat in the Pennsylvania State House. He's pretty much he won his primary. He's pretty much going to win a general. He's ready to get his furniture by Stephen Kinsey, who is the current state rep. Hopefully he can get that furniture very soon. I know I did my part to advocate for the incumbent, because what happens is that when a state rep transitions, like when one new one comes, there's an option that when they pass over offices or things of that nature, that, hey, you could probably retain some of that furniture, because if they don't, you have a budget where you have to expense that yourself. Like, there's weird little state rules around how to get furniture, how to open up an office. It's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to becoming a state rep. It should be its own documentary series, to be honest. But in this situation, Kinsey, Andre Carroll went against Kinsey in 2022. Kinsey won. He's a longtime incumbent, but Andre was super, super close. That was a close race, but at the end of the day, Kinsey had won. So this time around, Kinsey decides he's going to retire. He's deciding he's not running for re-election, which made it an open seat, to which Andre basically bested two other people who was on standby trying to run. One of those people was backed by Kinsey himself. The other one was backed by allegedly Cindy Bass, who's a city council member. Yeah, the West is really messy. That Northwest over that Germantown Mount area, they're a little messy over there for my team. They talk about West Philly, but we gotta go over there and look over there what's going on over there in Northwest, because they get a little messy over there. But like, two people supported people against Andre, which is kind of messed up. There was a woman named Salima who was endorsed or was supported by Cindy Bass, even though Salima didn't have her paperwork or anything really ready to really run that race. And then there was another guy who just slips me that was backed by Stephen Kinsey, who Kinsey wanted to push. Both of these people, are not equipped whatsoever. They withdrew out the race, dropped out the race before the race got competitive. Andre was the only candidate running, and ended up getting major endorsements from State Senator Anthony Hardy Williams, Floridian slip, State Senator Sheree Street. He also got supported heavily by, of course, Isaiah Thomas. The Working Families Party endorsed them, and the Democratic Party also endorsed them. So he's a consensus candidate. He have, different groups that got behind him in the end, except Stephen Kinsey. But hopefully they will work it out. I interviewed Andre on WRD, and it looks like there might be some good news. Hopefully leaders within the Democratic Party, help mend that relationship so that, this guy can get his furniture and he can be able to, get a healthy transition without having to spend extra money that he doesn't have to spend. Because these city council people, they're not city council people, they're petty too. But these state reps, some of these people, when they transition these seats, it gets a little bumpy, and it's interesting. But yeah, he won, and of course, Malcolm Kenyatta, as we predicted, won both of his seats. He is the Democratic nominee for Auditor General. He is the first LGBTQI candidate to win a state primary. There's been previous candidates that are gay that ran before. Brian Sims, the former state rep, who I can't stand, he's no longer a state rep, thank goodness. But he ran for lieutenant governor against Austin Davis in a Democratic primary back in, I believe, 2022. It's funny because I don't even understand why Brian Sims ran, because there was no chance he was going to win that race. He did not. And, we witnessed history with Austin Davis being the first Black Democrat to ever win a statewide seat. He's the second overall. The first to ever do it, period, was Timothy DeFore, who is the current Auditor General, who will be going against Malcolm Kenyatta on November 5th. And I predict could most likely stay reelected. Malcolm, even though he's won both of his seats in the primary, I don't know if he's going to be able to beat Timothy DeFore. Timothy DeFore is also black, a black Republican. He's not a Trumper. He has controller experience. He has auditor general experience, clearly. I just don't know. I don't see it. But anything can happen. So we could have a situation next year at the beginning of inauguration where you're going to see 2 black state reps, or guaranteed 1 black state rep in Andre Carroll, and then the first ever black gay statewide elected official in Malcolm Kenyatta, getting this auditor general seat. So we're going to see how it plays out, but it will be historic nonetheless. Eugene D. Pasquale won the Democratic nomination for Attorney General. That was a crowded 5-person race. Keira Bradford Gray, not Kiera Bradford Gray, but Keira Bradford Gray came in 4th. Runner-up was Jack Strolzenheimer. I won't have to say it again for many, many years, it seems like. But he was 2nd place. 3rd place was Joe Kahn. And 5th place, even though he had over $1 million in campaign contributions, was State Representative Jared Solomon. What a big major upset. This man had TV ads and everything and still lost. Listen, money don't buy you everything, it appears. But Eugene D. Pasquale, I mean, honestly, he was the guy to beat from day one. He was previously a state rep. He was also the Auditor General before Timothy DeFore had won that seat because it became an open seat. Because I don't know if you all know this, but Eugene D. Pasquale stepped down to run for Congress, which he lost. And now he's made a comeback to become, run for, Attorney General. It'd be interesting to see how it plays out. This man got these statewide seats on lock. He's also won for things. He's ambitious. Could this be the next governor? I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Because there's speculation, of course, that Governor Josh Shapiro has presidential aspirations. It'd be interesting what happens with Austin Davis if there's a primary between Eugene De Pasquale and Austin Davis. It's going to be interesting to see what that looks like in the governor's race between those 2 Democrats in the primary down the road. Will there be a fight off between the 2 of them? Ooh, I mean, Austin is pretty young, though. He's like 33, 34 years old. At this point, he's in his early 30s like myself. Ooh, it's going to be interesting to see this play out. But some of the biggest shockers of the night of election primary night was the situation between observing this, and this was one race that had me going, was the race between Ryan Bizzarro and Ellen McClelland, who they ran against each other for treasurer. In a shocker, still the biggest shocker of the night, Ryan Bizzarro lost to Aaron McClelland. Now, you all know last week when I was giving my predictions, I did not see this coming. No one saw this coming. I mean, seriously, this man got all the major endorsements, was a state rep. Aaron McClelland has never won a political office before, but yet she was a statewide primary. Like, this is epic and a shocker. Now, here's my theory. My theory is that I predict, and this is deeply my theory. My theory is that because the Pennsylvania Democratic Committee, this is the state committee, did not endorse a single woman on its primary ballot, I think that voters chose this race to pick a woman to rectify that omission. That is what I believe. Because there were no women across the state ticket, the statewide ticket, that was endorsed by the party. There was a couple of open races, but there were none. So because of that, I think Democratic voters are like, we need a woman. Where can we see a woman getting the endorsement or getting the nomination we're going to vote for in lieu of a man? I think, what's sad was it would have been nice to see a black woman like Keira Bradford Gray get the Democratic nomination. She didn't, because there was a lot of players in that race that unions were split on, people were connected to. But it would have been nice to see a woman somewhere else, but there were just no women showing up. Like Auditor General did not have any women candidates. AG did, Treasurer did, pretty much the Treasurer could have been that, but Ron Bizarro was super popular amongst the party. But voters said nah, and she won. And she won a nice, fair, clean race. So she's up against the current treasurer, who is a Republican, who's a woman, who is a big Trumper, who's an election denier, and is one of the first Pennsylvania elected officials to endorse Trump for re-election. She's going against her, two women going against each other. This should be a good fight to see. But Aaron McLean is going to get my vote on November 5th for sure. But perhaps maybe one of the biggest shockers of the entire primary across political affiliations was seeing Nikki Haley get 17% of the vote on Tuesday's primary. Yes, Nikki Haley, who was the GOP presidential candidate who gave it her all against Trump, okay? And she's still getting votes. She dropped out the race a month ago, and let me be clear, she has yet to endorse Trump's reelection bid, which is why I think this is a big deal. The fact that Trump's non-competing opponent got close to 20% of the GOP vote in a swing state like Pennsylvania, that's not good for him. Because Haley has made it clear that a base of Republican voters would not vote for Trump even if he earned their party's nomination. And Trump has earned it. And 17% of them still voted for her in spite of the fact that she was no longer in the race. Yeah. The GOP got their work cut out. And this is the stuff I'm telling y'all. See, this is stuff that nobody's talking enough about. And this is these telltale signs that Trump is not doing well. At first, everyone said, oh, Pennsylvania is looking like it's going to be bad for Trump. It's going to be bad for Biden. Then polls started showing that Biden was up 10 points against Trump in these polls lately. Then what we're finding out is that campaign finances. Biden currently has $192 million in the bank. Trump has $93 million in the bank. That is more than double the amount that Trump has. And we are like, what 6 months away from the election? We're close to 6 months away from the election. And this man has a ratio of a 2-1 advantage. He has double your amount. And you're on trial right now. So you can't even really be out here rallying and doing what you do because you got too many court cases you got to go to. You got shit you got to do legally. And there's still voters out here in battleground states that are voting for anyone but the fuck you. And even worse, not doing a no vote, right? They're literally voting for Nikki Haley to spite you a month later. But you said you don't need those votes. And so what this tells us that is on November, could those 17% of those votes go to Biden when Republicans that are no Trump, never Trumpers decide to? As all these people protest voting against Biden, let me tell y'all something. You better stop playing when it comes November 5th. I get people are mad. I get people want to protest. These college encampments and stuff, and the way that the police is out here fucking with these young people and doing this shit just ridiculously, and the fact that these cowardly ass college administrators at my alma maters, USC and Penn, using police violence to interrogate people from protesting and practicing their free speech. It's disgusting. It's disappointing. And as an alum, I'm not giving a goddamn dime to the university. I'm not donating anything to both of them until they figure this shit out. I can't donate. I'm not donating. I'm supporting students. I'm supporting Black and brown students. I'm supporting innocent folks. I'm supporting youth. I can't support these institutions. I'm not donating a donor's dime to them if they're going to be out here using donors' money and resources to use state-sanctioned violence against peaceful protesters. It's unacceptable. What's happening in Ivies is a mess. It's an embarrassment. It's a mess. And quite frankly, it's a lot. However, what we got to be clear about is is that while everyone's getting on Biden, and I get that Biden is getting fair critique, if Trump gets elected, he's going to do what Biden ain't even trying to do, right? Trump ain't talking about no ceasefire. Trump is going to go full throttle. You thought conversation of a genocide. This man will go there because he doesn't care. Trump does not care about any conversations around foreign diplomacy. It will be World War III. It will be chaos. And Trump will relish in that shit and will grift off the shit. And it will be a mess. And it won't even be a world war. The war going to be here in the U.S. with the way that we see stuff playing out right now. Not a good look. So I'm just saying to people, all this stuff is going on, but don't forget November 5th. And if you're going to live in this country, and you're going to stay in this country, why would you give the presidential power to Trump? Because that's what he wants. He's enjoying this, right? Like he's enjoying all of the no Biden votes because you all think you're proving a political point. If you really, I understand dissent, right? Because I do get it to some front. But what we're dealing with right now with the political action and policies and power, voting for a third party candidate is just throwing your vote away when it comes to a presidential race. Because it's the same rhetoric that Dr. Mark Lamont Hill tried to tell us, right? Oh, we can afford a Trump presidency. Oh, we can? I don't think we can. And we can't afford another one. So, it's cute to be in a Maybach and have millions of dollars and be somewhere interviewing reality TV stars, feeling good, feeling yourself, and talking about political stances, but you live comfortably in a reality where you're not going to experience the real legitimate harm that a second Trump president is going to give people. You didn't experience it the first time, and you're not going to experience the second time. And so when you got all these political paid voices that's telling that, like, I am privileged in a way that for me, I did not experience the onslaught of a lot of Trump's bad policies because of my education status, my financial status. But let me be very clear that the fear of being a black man in America and living through that would never make me feel comfortable with saying that we can afford another Trump presidency. It would never make me feel like both Biden and Trump are the same people. Yes, politicians are not perfect and have their flaws, but I will never equivocate. The equivalency to me, the false equivalency to me is frustrating because there's people out here that's sitting cozy, enjoying the healthcare benefits from Obamacare, that's enjoying a lot of universal benefits that have come from this administration in certain ways, that don't know how much they have these breaks because some of them are young. Some of y'all don't have families. Like we don't have families. We don't own homes. Yeah, there's a lot of things, but you got to look at the totality of how these policies are impacting people who are the people that y'all claim y'all care about. Like I care about poor people. I care about folks who don't have college degrees. Student loans are, yes, they are frustrating as fuck, but goddamn, you got a fucking degree. Because there's a lot of people who are struggling, who can't get any type of jobs or any type of work. You're mad because you can't get your career fast enough. There are people who can't even keep the lights on fast enough, right? And so there is a real crisis happening right now in our country. And I think sometimes, my fellow millennials, we can be so smart that we can be so stupid. We can be so caught up in the niche of our own personal expressions that we sometimes do not look at the bigger picture of what's happening in the world fucking around us. And so many of you are so fucking fortunate and also blessed and talented and all the great things that you can sometimes act like the thing that's bugging you is the thing that everyone should care about. I have gotten to a point where I've practiced the art of gratitude to recognize that, yes, there are some things I wish could be faster and can happen much sooner, right? I want the Equality Act to happen. Damn it, I want it to happen. But I'm okay. I'm okay right now in a city like Philadelphia that has a fair ordinance practice. I would like there to be a statewide, nationwide Equality Act to get passed in Congress. But I know what we're dealing with in Congress. And I know that right now, I want to make sure that people can afford their insulin. I want to make sure that we are protecting, we get reproductive rights back. We codify that. We get that did that because women are dying right now, right? I want to make sure that marriage equality does not die, right, by the Supreme Court, that they don't kill that before it's the end of everything, because my livelihood, okay, gets impacted by that. There's priorities, and I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but there is a hierarchy of priorities. And if you don't want to believe that, fine. But all I'm saying to you is that if you got to understand on the nationwide overall, this is tough talk. It's not the talk that people want to hear because it's not sexy, it's not politically favorable, but it's real. There is a hierarchy of priorities within any administration. And as somebody who's been a boss and has had to make presidential decisions within the organization I'm a part of, you are not going to be able to get everything you want in one term, one agenda. We want these things, but then we wonder what next. And it's frustrating because I do think that to some degree, these administrations do oversell and over-campaign. But in reality, it's a lot of shit. And I'm just learning to be grateful for what I have. I want more. I'm going to demand more. But I'm not going to be a one-issue pony. I'm not going to be one person that's going to decide this is everything and I'm not doing this. That's cute. Be that revolutionary. And you can die being that revolutionary. And then what happens? What happens next? We lose more and more great voices and thoughtful people behind the issue and the crisis of the moment. I've been, as a millennial, I'm in a state of crisis living in this country. I don't know when there was not a lack of non-crisis for millennials. That's why for me, it's just kind of like, oh shit, here comes another crisis. An environmental crisis, a reproductive crisis that is literally the one thing I'm focused on amongst many issues, but there's some international dispute. There's some, moment, and it's always a thing every fucking year. And for Black people specifically, we always got some shit going on in our communities, right? And we have demanded for things to get done, and something else comes and takes the spotlight, and then we're told, oh, we'll get there, and then we get some progress, and then we are pitted against other people that's dealing with marginalization. It's so fucked up. But I'm not getting distracted. I believe that there is levels. There's ways that we can advocate for different things. I'm not telling people to be patient, but I'm telling people to be practical. You can be impatiently practical. You can. I've had to in my personal life and in my political world. Just some food for thought. So, the losers and the big race that everyone is talking about, there is this huge situation right now happening in West Philadelphia. And this is the big one right now. Right now, as I'm doing this podcast, we do not know what has happened in West Philly's 10th district. This is Almond Brown, Purple, Saja, Purple Blackwell, and Cass Green. As of right now, we know there's one loser in that race, and that is Purple Blackwell, who got roughly 20% of the vote. She ain't winning. But this vote between Cass Green and Almond Brown, it's a nail biter. There's a 50, as of right now, there's a 50 vote gap between them. Almond is in the lead by 50 votes. Only 50 votes. I am going to read you the actual blow by blow number because I don't want anybody, I want to be accurate. I know my numbers. This race right now is everybody is on the seat. They're in their seat. Provisional ballots are being counted as we speak. So here is the current count as of right now, as I'm doing this podcast. Almond Brown has 2,973 votes. 2,973 votes. Cass Green has 2,923 votes. There is, like I said, an exact 50% split. Now, Saja Blackwell, she has 1,478 votes. That's 20% of the vote. Cass Green has 39. Almond has, so let me say this. Almond Brown has 40.1% of the vote. Cass Green has 39.5% of the vote. If you want to get to the breakdown of technical points, it is apparently he has 69. Let me see. This is tight. So, oh my goodness, he has point 60, 69. I think that's 69. Wait, what's that? 49. So it's 49 plus 18. Okay. So I'm trying to get this accurate right now, the split, because the split is very low. He has 0.67 lead over her, a 0.67 lead. He doesn't even have a percentage point higher than her. He has 0.67% difference. There's no what is this called? A runoff. There's no runoff election during primaries. There's no runoff election during the primary. It's going to be whoever wins, wins. So if he wins by 2 votes, he's the winner. And honestly, a lot of people are questioning, what do I think about this? I mean, I did a thread on Twitter that got retweeted by the Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper from CNN retweeted my political analysis talking about this race in West Philadelphia. That's how big of a deal this is. The Jake Tapper retweeted my analysis in West Philly. Okay? He follows me on Twitter, shows some love, retweeted it to his followers. People have been getting into it, having these discussions. It's a big damn deal what's happening in West Philly. Here's what I think. I think this was Almond Brown's race to lose. Or Cass Green's race to lose. I take that back. I think this was Cass Green's race to lose. I feel like before I saw how she played out, I felt like Cass had a case that she could have won. She had the most money in the race. She had TV ads. She just looked like she had all the ingredients to win. The problem is the coordination wasn't there. She had the wrong messenger. She had the wrong people. She had a bunch of white people that looked like gentrifiers in West Philly neighborhood, knocking on doors. Her campaign spent so much time negatively running a smear campaign against Almond, which actually made him appear to be the martyr, because the dog pile was so nasty that you got to read the audience, all right? This is a predominantly Black West Philly district. There has been some gentrification that is helping Cass at an advantage. Cass is a Black woman, but she's not as known. And I think she should have spent in this campaign, she should have blew this out. Why this race is tight is because people do not trust the party, the Working Families Party. They don't trust the Working Families Party. They don't know her enough. She aligned herself with Larry Krasner, with Helen Gim, with Jamie Gauthier, who had got elected, okay, in the district. She's my city councilwoman, but she's fairly unpopular in parts of different districts within her councilmatic district. And in this District 10, I just feel like Cass had too many alignments with people that helped made her more polarizing. It's very clear that this district, District 10 in West Philly, is divided. They're divided. They're divided on the politics. And if Almond pulls this out, which I do think he might pull this out, if he do, he's going to have some conversations. But what is very clear is that the candidate to beat him is not a Cass Green type. It's not a Working Family Party candidate. This is the second time they've tried to run against him, and they've lost. And with all the money they got, all the resources, all the connections they pulled, they still can't stop this guy, which means that he has to just get better. He's going to have to listen. He's going to have some different conversations than he's had in the past. A lot of shit's going to have to change this go around. And I think he's going to pull it off. But it's just still tight right now. But we're going to see. We're going to see how this plays out. But in other news, I do want to announce this, and this has been juicy. I always tell people that a party can make you and the party can break you. And that's pretty much was the case for State Rep Kevin Boyle, who's had a lot of bad press. I talked about some of the allegations of an arrest, all these other issues he's been having. Some members of his party have said his mental health. People say a lot of things. Here's the thing. There's a Nepo baby situation that's going on here. Kevin Boyle, who is the brother of U.S. Congressman Brendan Boyle, did not get the Democratic Party's endorsement this go around. They instead backed Sean Doherty. Okay? Sean Doherty, people. Like, this is important. This is Nepo baby history. This is a clash of the titans between Nepo baby isms. Okay? For real, for real. So, yes, Johnny Docs brother is a state Supreme Court justice, and his nephew is now headed to become a state rep, and he has defeated Kevin Boyle, who, if you want to keep up with Nepo babies, Kevin Boyle is the brother of Brendan Boyle, who's the U.S. congressman. So now one family empire has collapsed, another one gains more power. Fun facts. That's why I love covering elections, because you can see all these parallels. There's like nothing new under the sun. So that's happening. But the other big takeaway from all this is that we're going to keep an eye on this Almond Brown race to see where that goes. So now to some other news that's happening on these streets. A lot of stuff is happening in the entertainment world, but the one thing I really want to take some time to talk about is Amanda Seales. I know there's been a lot of conversations about Amanda Seales, and quite frankly, I'm tired of her. I'm tired of the discourse about her. I just don't understand why she's given so much space. So she did an interview with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay, which has now, I feel like, become the show where basically washed up or insightful talent, either the best of the world or the worst of the world, come on this show and vent. And everyone's trying to, this is the year of beef, I feel like. Everybody wants to beef with somebody. And I don't, I'm not against a little beef. I've had my fair share. But I just feel like everybody out here trying to beef. And sometimes I feel like the beef is just kind of like, this ain't real beef. Like, beef requires two people to actively be involved. Some people, I feel like, just want to start beef with people, and it's like, where's this coming from? I don't know why Quavo and Chris Brown are beefing. I think it's stupid. I mean, I know why, but it's not a real thing. And I just think that's corny. And, like, who cares who he sleeps with? Like, I don't care about none of this. This is just so dumb. Like, Chris Brown, just be happy that you're a free man in this world, you abuser. Like, I don't know. I just don't care. I just think a lot of these beefs. Also, Drake using AI to try to come at, Kendrick, but then that failed because they take the track down. Kendrick is responding to none of these dudes. And quite frankly, I think Kendrick not responding to his lessers is probably a smarter move than anything else. Who else? I mean, everybody's beefing. But Amanda Seales, like, this woman, I'm just, I just don't care about her. I don't. So then why are you talking about her, Ernest? I know. That's a good point. Because I think, one, you listeners will ask me and I will respond. I try to ignore people, and sometimes you just have to respond to some stuff that just clear the air. I just think Amanda Seales is just one of those people in the world that does not know how to read the room. She is performative as fuck. She is a broken clock that's right twice a day. But most of the time, what guides her actions are disingenuous, and what guides her actions is often her just misplacing blame on other people because she doesn't want to have any self-accountability. It's always a victimhood mentality. It's always everybody else's fault except her. If you thought I listened to that 3-hour Club Shay Shay interview, you're right, but you're also wrong. Because I was also clipping my nails. I was also, getting my feet ready before I got my Medicare and pedicure this week. Shout out to my girl over at Lux Nails who made sure I had some cute ass wingtips. French tips. Not wingtips, but But I was doing a lot of things while listening. So I didn't feel like I wasted any time. It was one of them things where it's good background music while I was checking emails, doing other stuff. Like, I just was not giving her my undivided attention, but I was hearing it. What annoyed me the most was that if you just go down a list of her upbringing, everything is everybody's fault. She's so fucking performative. Everything is, oh my goodness, light-skinned girl, go away. Like, you're just so, everybody's racist to her. Everybody is trying to, lock her out of opportunities. Oh, people just don't like her and they're just mean. They want to shut her out of something. Look, as somebody who has experienced like actual blackballing and like people doing shit, I am never confused behind what drives a person to do something to me or what I may have done to cause that thing to happen. Like, I'm never naive. I was like, oh yeah, it was my mouth. Yeah, I spoke about that and that pissed some people off and that's why that happened. Oh, that person doesn't like me because of their friend or whatever like that. Like, I know why shit be happening to me. Most stuff does not be like, what? Why? Most of the time when good things happen to me, I'll be shocked about that. But when bad things happen or messy things happen, I'll be like, oh, I know who did that and why they did it. My thing with her is there's no self-reflection. There's no self-accountability. There's no ability to say, you know what? I showed my ass and that's why that happened. Or, you know what? There's a person that's still upset about me about something that happened 3-5 years ago. And that's why that happened. But with her, there's no reason. Everything is people just don't like me. People come for me. When you got that many people coming at you and you are a cis, het, light-skinned woman who's attractive. She's a good-looking woman. She's not ugly. You got to take a moment to say, with all that little privilege you got, I'm trying to understand. Because it's not even white people, right? She talks about racism with white people, but she's talking about the shit she's doing with black people. Like, so then you done brought your annoying ass over into the community, and what happened there? So it's always some fault. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to deny her experience to say that there weren't people who did stuff with her funny or weird or whatever. Sure, right? Those things are real legitimate. But I'm at a point where I'm just trying to figure out, now what? Now what? And so the now what for me, it feels like she wants to act like she's this fucking martyr. She really wants to act like she's this real, all honest, speaking like it is, being truthful. But I've learned with people like that, and with people like that, is that what drives your speaking truth to power? If that, I don't even want to call it speaking truth to power. Because let's talk about speaking truth, right? There are people, right, who share truth that is supposed to be enlightening, is driven by revealing truth to cause for public action, political action, to drive an important conversation about a real issue. My issue with Amanda Seales is that a lot of what she claims to be speaking her truth and why she's getting penalized is about shit related to her. Like, it's about her. Like, it's like you're telling us bad things about people we know about as it pertains to you. You're not exposing people who've done bad things to other people or to a group of people, right? It's about you and your petty shit. And then it becomes there's her truth, their truth, and then the truth is in the middle. It becomes tit for tat back and forth. And when I look at the people that she's talking about, right, like Issa Rae and other folks, I'm like, well, here's the thing. They're more successful than you. And I'm not saying more successful people oftentimes are right, because that's not true, clearly. But these are people, particular black women that she's talking about, where they're more successful than you. They're in a position where we don't hear consistent negative talk about them. And you had your experience with them, and it's like, now we're supposed to just stop everything and not like this person? Like, why can't you just handle that shit to the side, or let that shit the fuck go, or move on? Like, I just don't understand how that incident, it speaks to a larger issue. And I've learned as I've gotten older, like, look, I have my personal issues with certain folks, right, in the industry or whatever. I don't speak on it to a lot of people publicly. If I'm not friends with a person anymore or whatever. Like, y'all see me with a particular ex-friend of mine, right? I don't get into that where I want to publicize a breakup or a friendship with a person that's public. If the person hasn't done to other people, like, because I don't understand what is there to achieve there. Like, other than, I don't want y'all to like this person, I don't like the person. No, that's childish. I don't gotta make you not like a person. I believe that if a person is as bad as I think they are, the trash will take itself out. However, if there's a person that I had a public relationship with, that it was business, or it was public, or it was something, and it was something that impacts other people, or there was a situation like that, then yes, I do feel like that's a moment, where public awareness should be there. Like when Sean King, basically tried to dox me, right? That took place in public. And so, yeah, I spoke out about it publicly, right? But me not being friends with certain people that I know that's in the industry or whatever, yeah, I'm not going to gossip and get into all the petty about something that's a personal thing. That has nothing to do with anything that's forward-reaching. My issue with Amanda Seales is that some of this stuff is just personal. Okay, you didn't go to this fucking insecure party that happened like fucking years ago. Who fucking cares? Like, you care. But why do we all need to care about this? Why is this such a crime towards mankind? Like, okay, they didn't like you. I bet you they have a reason why. And the crazy thing is that most of them want to move on with their lives and not talk about you because it doesn't make them any money. And I guess it's making you relevant for 5 seconds. But I just feel like she has become one of those people that has resided in the drama. And and I can only imagine that we have a person that every time they have an issue or something, they want to get mad at everybody. Nobody wants to be around that. I mean, the Hollywood industry does not have to put up with assholes or idiots or jerks or mean people. Like you or people just just so extra. And extra not in like, oh, you're emotional. That's not what I'm saying. But extra as in everything is a problem. And you seem not to work well with people. And I don't want to call a Black woman difficult because that's not where I'm trying to go with this. But it's obvious. Like even when I see her interviews, I can see how being around someone like her would just be like, yeah, hi, see you later, and I'm never going to see her again. Like, I can see it, and I don't think people are self-aware of how they come across. I know when I'm doing the most, and I know when I'm chilling, and I know when I'm bringing. I'm very self-aware, but be self-aware and not try to actually fault certain folks for how they're going to be. And if you go, and my thing with her is that she acts as though there's this massive blackballing, but she's been fairly successful with I don't know. I think there's this thing where celebrities and just people in general will sometimes expect to be bigger and more famous than they are. And so they downplay their current fame because they think they should be having way more. And sometimes I'm just like, sometimes the industry is just super competitive. Sometimes it's not your time. Sometimes things have to change in the universe to make things happen. I think about Sheryl Lee Ralph and how talented Sheryl Lee Ralph is. Sheryl Lee Ralph has gotten more famous in the past 2 years than she's probably ever been in her entire career. I mean, she started off on Broadway, got a Tony nomination, was this incredible actress, the original Dina in Dreamgirls. She was a big popular, one of America's favorite TV moms, starring on Moesha. And then there was these periods of her career where it just was like a little quieter, a little bit less reserved. But then Abbott comes, she wins an Emmy, she becomes the second Black woman to win a Best Supporting Actress Emmy in comedy after Jackie Harry, who was in 227, I believe. Yeah. And now look at history, right? That's how life can be in the industry. You just never know when there's going to be that moment. Sometimes you might apply for something and then 5 years later, the dream comes in a different way. You just never know. And I've just learned living that nothing is ever over until it's over. And things can change and evolve with time. You just may get that one role or that opportunity or that position to do something great and it can take off. But you just have to be present for that. And I think people I just feel like people like, Amanda Seales, I just feel like she's at a place where she's just, she's unbearable. And yes, should the dog pile of people on the internet drag her? No, I just think that's too much too. I just feel like we should just all just stop feeding the monster. But I also think Amanda Seales got to stop feeding the monster too. Because every time she gets on here and she carries these narratives that no one's picking up what she's putting down, right? Like no one's buying what she's selling. It only makes things even get worse. So she said on air that she was on the spectrum. She self-diagnosed herself as being on the spectrum, which is a serious thing to say, right? Well, then later on, she comes out and acknowledges that she never actually was clinically diagnosed with being on the spectrum. That she just says that she just thinks she is, but she hasn't done any formal tests or anything like that. She's talking about she's not going to spend thousands of dollars, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just kind of like, well, you done started a conversation as this very high profile person about autism and being on the spectrum and all these things. And you talk about this, and in a way you're like, it's almost like you're trying to get a level of sympathy with having a disability. And it's almost like you garnered a level of sympathy for some people. And then now it seems as though you just kind of just said this and you just diagnosed yourself and just said this, and we don't even know if it's true or not. And it doesn't help the fact that people think that you are a liar. She just needs to be in our prayers. And I'm not even being facetious. Like someone like that is a little worrisome, and you just want them to be okay. Like I just want her to have a break. I just want her to find peace. I just want her to I don't want to say get out of showbiz, but maybe if you're having so many issues with the industry that you're in to that point where it's just like there's nothing good happening, you just hate everything, hate everybody, then maybe you should take your talents and just, go somewhere that's feeding you more. I just don't know. I just don't understand what's the want here outside of trying to just become another poor light-skinned girl who just has just been done wrong by the world and everybody hates her because she's pretty. It's just giving a lot of that energy. I don't know. I just get a lot of that because I'm just like, even the whole Issa Rae thing, it's like Issa is a dark-skinned woman who's definitely had to fight to get in this industry, and to vilify her in a way like this, it's like, okay, all right, Amanda. All right, Amanda. I see what's going on here. I'm not crazy about her, as you can see. I'm not a fan of Amanda Seals. But yeah, I don't know. And also, let me just say this before moving on. I'm so tired of Shannon Sharpe. I'm so tired of the way that Shannon Sharpe gets to try to talk about people's accents when he got a country ass accent himself. I'm just tired by his lack of interview skills. I'm tired of just him just sitting around getting all this accolade and praise for basically doing nothing. Like, what draws people's attention to his show is not him, but the guests. The guests are the reason why. And it's just like, oh God, we award mediocrity. Like, this man gets to be a Hall of Famer in football, and now he's trying to walk around here being this interviewer. He's not a journalist. Please stop it. He's a media personality at best. He's a horrible gossiper at worst. I just know that I have a feeling that this Club Shay Shay thing is going to get really tired very soon. And we're getting there. It's going to get there very, very soon. First of all, I don't know how he does 3-hour interviews. I mean, I guess I do 3-hour podcast episodes, but just hearing the same celebrity whine all day is a lot, but I digress. All right, moving on to Ask Ernest this week. This is an interesting question, but I'm going to take it. I have my own thoughts, but I'm gonna take this. I really like these questions. Y'all like to talk about relationships, so I bang with that. So here is my question of the week. What's up, E? Hope all is well. Look like you're having the time of your life. Turn up, but don't turn up too hard. LOL. Want to ask you this question that I know some people in your listeners are gonna try to drag me, but because it's anonymous, I'm going to do it anyway. We love to hear that. We love to hear that, girl. You're going to get dragged for this, but you're going to ask this question and we're going to answer it. So lately, I have been seeing my ex at events. And it's been awkward because we definitely are in the same work field. I'm not going to name what the field is because that might be telling too much information. But they both are in the same career and industry. Moving on. We have similar friends, and so we see each other at certain professional events and gatherings, etc. Lately, I've been seeing his current girlfriend, somebody he's been with for the past couple of months, and they are seen together. And recently, I've seen her at events by herself, and there's a part of me who wants to tell her about him and his toxic ways. Full disclosure, he never was abusive, but he was a jerk, and he definitely was a dick, in parentheses, to me. I kind of want her to know so she could protect herself. Should I approach her, woman to woman, or should I send a friend to? What do you think? Girl, okay. Listen, I'm not trying to drag you, and I'm not going to drag you because I appreciate you feeling comfortable to send me this question to my DM so I can respond. I'm not going to put out the information because I feel like, I know who you are and I know who this dude is and I know the girl a little bit. So I ain't going to put this out here in these streets. Ooh, this is messy. I'm going to tell you how I personally feel about your situation and I'm going to make it a general answer. Girl, that man was a dog. We all know he's a dog. And he's going to be a dog, and she decided to date the dog, so she's going to be in puppy love. Girl, she's having puppy love for the dog. You don't got to tell that girl nothing, because everybody knows he's a dog. You knew he was a dog when you was with his ass. So we're not even going to do the whole, should I warn him about him, because, baby, the people already know. That aside, because that is your answer for you. So that's for you. But this is a good question for people who may not be in a situation with a known dog. Like, you don't know if the dog is, or as my friend, my good bro, Joe Hamilton say, dog. And I say dog, as in New York. I like the way they say dog in New York. Dog. We don't know if he's a dog or not. Like, we don't know. But let's say this. For people who don't know if it's a dog or not, or if this person's a bad piece of shit. There's two ways I want to answer this question. I kind of struggle with it, but here I go. If the man is physically abusive, then number one, I hope that there was some legal procedures that, show up on that record, because we should not be letting abusers get away scot-free if we can help ourselves. If it was not physically abusive, if it was, or maybe you didn't want to file a police complaint. I get that too. If it's a situation where you think there is a physical abusive component and you think this person is really that bad, and let me clarify that, because I need to say something. Because I struggle with this. If it is a physical abusive relationship where you think this person is violent, they were violent to you, you did not file a police complaint because maybe you didn't want to deal with the laws, which I understand. If you did not want to deal with the law enforcement, but you know this person is physically violent, and they put hands on you and they did violent things and it was a very violent situation, I do think there is a way to use maybe a mutual friend or somebody who knows to let that person know, or let a friend of a friend know if they're in your orbit about it. I've been there, not personally, but I've been there for another friend who had a situation like that. There was a woman that I knew. She knew somebody I knew was dating this guy. This woman came to me because she knew I was friends with the girl and told me about how this man she dated was abusive. She filed a police report. Now, she filed a police report, but I'm not saying that a person has to do that, but she filed a police report, and it was very descriptive about how violent this man was to her. I told my homegirl, I said, listen, this man's last ex was hella violent. This man seems to have a short fuse. I don't know how I feel about this. She made a decision. She left the dude. But she also said there were some red flags that suggested that he might be a little possessive. So if you're trying to save a sister like that, save a sister like that. Now, outside of violence, mind your fucking business. Leave it alone. Don't do that. Mind your business. Stay out of that. Move on. Okay? If he's a serial cheater, he a serial cheater. That ain't your business. That's not your homegirl. That's her life to live. Just like you had to go through the shit and nobody came and tapped, mind your business. Everybody, and let me say this too. Not that, and again, I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about just life. People are different in different relationships. I have exes that were shitty or trash to me. Nothing violent, but they weren't nice guys. They lied, or they were just mean, or they was just boring, or whatever, right? But some of those men went off and got in relationships with other people, and they seem to be doing okay. Did not need my intervention. Didn't need to get into my business. I minded my business. There are exes that date me that will probably say, that Ernest, he was feeling himself. Could say all kinds of things about me. Be like, he spent too much time with his friends. Or he's too Hollywood. Or whatever they would say. He got a smart ass mouth, which might be true. But they would say whatever they want to say about me. But at the end of the day, maybe I was like that with you because I wasn't happy with you. Maybe I never spent time with you because there was nothing to spend time with. Maybe I like going out with my friends because, you made me pay for the bill all the time. Maybe I was, had a smart mouth because you wasn't doing what you were supposed to do. I'm just saying, perspectives can be different when you get into those tit for tats, right? There's no reason to be being violent in a relationship and be, hitting and doing all that. You shouldn't be doing all that. But when it comes to regular relationship stuff, every relationship, that person don't belong to you. Leave that person alone. At that point, you go live your life. Because nobody should, because I just feel like there's a little bit of possession there. Are you over your ex? If you over your ex, you shouldn't be in the business of going to every person, letting people know about you. I hate when people do that. And then you want to turn around and get with the person. You want to get back with the person. You then clown the person on social media, and then you want to get back with them, and you want everybody to be okay with it. No, that break up the makeup. If you're doing that shit, do that shit privately. If you break up with the ex and then get back with him or do whatever, y'all do that privately. Don't get nobody else involved. Don't get the whole streets involved in that. Leave it alone. There's just people who I feel like think they got to warn somebody. You ain't got to warn nobody. Because first of all, you might just come off as a hater. Second of all, that person might be better with someone else. Any ex of mine would have been an ex of mine 10, 11 years ago. You can't talk about who I was at 21 years old to where I'm at 32. 32-year-old me is not 21-year-old me. I see a lot of college girls do that. They date a dude in college that was a jerk, and then all of a sudden this person married midway in their 30s, and you still judging them for what they did in college. And there's some dudes out here, to be clear, that are the same dog they were in college that are in their personal life. But again, that's none of your business. You let that person find out. You let that person figure that shit out. That's not your business. Like, everybody gotta, mind yours. As long as it's not physically abusive or something fatal, let the cards be what they are. Because some people might change. Some people do change. Some people go to therapy. Some people take some time to heal and process and then become better for somebody else. I took a sabbatical out of my last relationship before I got with Mr. Johnson, and took some time to myself because that relationship was just so much, and took some time to myself and looked at relationships differently, came into a new relationship differently, and that relationship becoming my marriage. But you got to give yourself that space. So that's what I would do. As far as movies go, I see a lot of you are finally watching and seeing Challengers. Zendaya is killing it on the red carpet. She's been out here promoting. She's been doing her things. Sex scenes are great. The sex scenes are awesome. It's been a thrill ride to see Zendaya move up. It debuted at number 1 at the box office this weekend, which is really good. It was a little sluggish weekend at the box office, but it debuted at number 1 at the box office. So that's a good look for a film like that to be number 1 at the box office. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Came in at number 1. Last week was Civil War that did well. So yeah. So it's some interesting moments in Hollywood right now. We're seeing a lot of conversations take place, but I'm just really happy that she's doing her thing. I'm really a big fan of her, and just the work that she's doing. I know everybody's excited about Euphoria, but I'm just like, Euphoria. I'm not missing that show, to be honest. But it's giving a lot, for sure. So moving along, music. My bestie, Jamarcus, my lip brother, has finally released his EP, which has all these great tracks, extended play as we call it, and it just dropped. You can listen to it on all streaming platforms. I've sunk my teeth into the music. The project is called, as you all know, Solace. He got a new single called Home that's out, but the project Solace is out. You can listen to it on all streaming platforms. So many great tracks, so many great producers, but the music is out, and now you can tune in and you can get your life and listen to this incredible project. So many great songs, so many great bops. It is a memorable track for sure. So tune in, stream it, stream good music. Okay, there's so many bad mainstream artists out right now dropping boring ass albums and disappointing albums, and then every blue moon you can have a great artist like my bestie, who is just giving y'all the music that y'all deserve to hear for the spring. So listen to Solace. that's streaming out on all platforms right now. Now, let's talk about Miss Swift. She has done something historic. Billboard has reported that she makes a historic debut at number 1. It is the largest streaming week ever for an album. It's her 14th number 1 album. And she now ties for an artist with the most number 1 albums. That title is now tied with none other than Jay-Z. Her and Jay-Z are now tied for the most number 1 albums ever amongst themselves. Taylor Swift has 14 number 1 albums, and Jay-Z do as well. This is a big deal. The person with the number 1 albums of all time is not, so she's a solo artist. The number 1 albums of all time is the Beatles. The Beatles have 19 number 1 albums. And they tie with the most of any artist. Beatles have 19 number 1 albums. Taylor Swift has 14. The way she's dropping albums, she might even beat that record. So other artists on the list, Drake has 13. Bruce Springsteen has 11. Barbara Streisand has 11. Kanye West has 11. Eminem has 10. Future has 10. Elvis Presley has 10. Future has 10 number 1 albums. Well, okay. Elvis up there. Future is doing his thing. Okay, Future. Drake has 13. The largest streaming week ever for an artist goes to Taylor Swift. She has broken the record. She had 891.3 million. Number 2 was Scorpion, which had 745.9 million streams. So she surpassed him by over 100 more. Certified Lover Boy was number 3. And then Taylor Swift Midnights was number 4. And then number 5 was Drake For All the Dogs. So Drake and Taylor Swift dominates the top 6. Drake has 4 of his albums in the top 6 streaming weeks. And then she has 2 of her song albums. Overall, when we're talking about EAU, Taylor Swift has the second highest album sales, first week sales for an album. She sold 2.6 million copies, but she stands under Adele, who Adele has 3.4 million. Taylor Swift has 2.6. So Adele is still number 1 with her album 25, which came out in 2015. Now, total sales in the modern era, Taylor Swift has the 3rd largest selling album in the modern era. So this is all the albums. This is before streaming sales counted. NSYNC is number 2 with 2.4 million, and Adele is still number 1 with 3.3 million. Adele to this day has the highest selling first week album sales of the modern era of all time. 3.3 million the first week. NSYNC is 2.4 and Taylor Swift is 1.9. Her new album was 1.9. This is about album sales, physical album sales. But she's also she dominates the top 4 in vinyl sales. She sold the most vinyl sales. But this is the part where people began to criticize what she did. And there was a read that has been being talked about all over Twitter. Billboard clocked it. I'm going to read what they said. And this is why I'm not really excited about this history-making moment for Taylor Swift, because it's kind of messy. So this is what Billboard said. The Tortured Poets Department sales were boasted by its availability across 19 different physical configurations. 19 variations of this album. She had 19 CDs, 6 vinyls, and 4 cassettes, with 4 of the physical configurations exclusively sold by Target stores and 2 digital download offerings, the standard 16-song album and the surprise 31-song deluxe edition that was released 2 hours after the original album bowed. All the variants are itemized later in this story. Now, for those who want to know why this is interesting, is because Adele literally got that many sales off of 1 album. No variants. And if you even want to get more nasty with it, Adele did not allow her album 25 to stream when it came out. Everyone had to sit down and buy that album without streaming it. You could buy the album and stream it, but you had to purchase it. Adele did what Beyonce did with Lemonade, where they both did not allow the album to stream freely. You had to buy the album. So Adele sold over 3 million albums. Over 3.3 million albums in the first week. There were no physical various albums, no vinyls, nothing. She sold one edition of her album, no deluxe editions. There was only a couple of I think about maybe 13, 12 songs. There was only that, and there were no streaming equivalents that counted. It was just that one album. And that was in 2015. So, oh my God, time flies. It has been nearly 9 years. But that is how music has been evolving. Like, it feels like almost yesterday 25 came out. But technically, y'all, it's going to be 9 years, a decade. So look how music is changing so fast. Like, Taylor Swift had to pull out every single stunt to try to get these sales. Like, every single goddamn stunt. She basically learned how to game the system. She is a mastermind, but in this way, not so much. And for all that she did not defeat Adele. She had a moment. It was cute. But Adele literally got the fans to go out and buy that album, which is why she can go out and do a residency in Vegas and not have to faint or flip out about it. So that's just some food to thought. You know? Yeah. That's just some food for thought. Just for people to know. But yeah. So moving along, good TV. I've been watching some TV. Of course, Abbott Elementary is killing it. Love and Hip Hop, is, the season finale is a couple weeks ago. So they've been playing out. Summer House Martha's Vineyard is ramping up. I really love this recent episode where the couples got to come. So everybody got to see Preston Mitchum and his now fiance, on the show this episode. And also shout out to the fact that I got to see Preston at the Alpha Conference. He's also an Alpha. He's actually a president of an alumni chapter in DC. So it's great to actually see him, in Philly. And so, I got to see my frat brother who's also on this great reality show. But the show I've been watching lately, and I need y'all to watch it, it's called Mary and George. Mary and George. It is spicy. It is with Julianne Moore, who is doing this show. It's a new series. If you all watch the show Red, White, and Royal, there's a guy named Nicholas Gilzantine who is her son. And basically, he's a revelation. He's acting his ass off. Basically, the queen in Mary and George, her son is a prince. And basically, he is the son who sleeps with the king to help mommy gets what she wants. So the son, in this film, this is a show, it's on Starz. It's starting on April 5th, for those who want to catch up. But this show it's a new limited series on Starz, and it's about royal courts and courtships. Now, they've been marketing it because it's a very spicy detail. Lust for power, the phrase reads. The period after lust initiates feels like a typo on all too previous wink, but it's the punctuation that ultimately reveals how the show's wickedly fun thematic double entendre. So you know how they say lust for power? It says lust, period, for power. Rather than lust for power. It's so fun. It's good. So Mary and George is just as much about lusting for power as it is about using lust to attain power. It's a clever trick, and it is really juicy. If you watch the first 2 minutes of it, you know it's good. Because it's not about monarch history, but basically Julianne Moore plays the Countess of Buckingham. Her character is Mary Villiers, like a Jacobean peasant goshing at a turkey leg for substance. She's so carnal. It's fitting. It's juicy. She's doing her thing. But then she drafts her oldest son, whose name is George, into service, not for war, but for pleasure. King James is known to like really be into young, beautiful men in his bedchamber. And George has this like adorable look. He's cute, right? He has this thing exactly for the kind of thing she can use to secure her family's name and never have to worry about marriage or money again. So she pimps out her son basically for power. It's sexy, it's spicy, and Julianne Moore does everything in her power. It's 7 episodes, and it's great because it's a real limited series rather than a film script. It actually feels like a limited series, like it stretches the limit. It's really good. It's spicy. It's a very good show. I really like it. Sink your teeth into a good show. She eats into this. There's lots of sex, lots of bare butts, lots of bare backing, white bare butts and backing, but it's fun, it's sexy, and it's really fun, and it's better than any show you've seen since the 1600s. Now, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I recommend that you watch this great movie that you can now watch on streaming somewhere. I think it's on Amazon, maybe, or Peacock, I think. It's called The Favorite. It came out a couple years ago. It's one of my favorite films that's come out in recent years. It's one of me and my bestie Jamarcus's, it's our go-to bestie film. And it won an Oscar for this incredible actress, which is known as the legendary, the great. She cannot go any wrong in any film. She is like the rising British actress of her moment. And anybody who sleeps on her would be wrong. And that woman is Olivia Colman. Hello. She won an Emmy for playing in, The Queen. She played the Queen in The Crown. She has been nominated for several Oscars. But she won for playing the Queen, Queen Anne, and The Favorite, which also starred Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz, who also, they got Oscar nominations for Best Supporting Actress. The film is really good, and a lot of great actors are in it, including Taylor Swift's ex, Joe Alwyn, who's also in that film, alongside Nicholas Hoult, who's been really killing it. He's Harley in the film. But it's a good film to watch. It's really fun, and it is... Yeah, it's just great film. Great film. But watch that first and then watch Mary and George. Or you could just go watch Mary and George. But I just want y'all to understand, a lot of these period pieces you think are the same old, Downton Abbey, all the Crown series. This is one of those fun, avant-garde, out-of-the-box, creative period pieces that, yes, they're in costumes, but it's spicy, it's salacious, it's modern, it's fun, it's progressive. The king is gay in this film, and so I highly recommend it. So it's really good. So I highly recommend that. But as we wrap up, I'm super excited about the month of May. Oh, one more show. There's a show called Them. I don't like the first season of Them. But this second season has Luke James in it, who's a famous singer, but he's been acting more than singing lately. Y'all have been seeing him in The Chi. He was on this show that I really loved back in the day from Lee Daniels called Star, which was a great show. I bring whoever likes Star, real Star fans, stand up. But anyway, he's in that show, and he's also very good. So if you haven't seen Them Season 2, watch it. You do not have to watch Season 1 of the show Them, which I believe is on Amazon Prime. You don't have to watch the first season of it to watch the second season. They're almost isolated. But anyway, looking forward to May. Looking forward to more things to come. This has been quite the episode, but some of you all wanted to catch up on what's been going on with these elections and what's been going on in the world. So I love doing it with you all. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.